I'm going to show you a few images of how I practice in my sketchbook. And yes, we are talking about my Welcome Home journal. I use it all the time to start new projects, to warm up, to practice, and to play around with. And recently I created a dip pen inking class all about sunflowers and how you can create variation. So today I want to show you how I use variation in placement of ink or color to see what will look better for my project. Especially if I'm handed a small little project, it's easy to come up with a few thumbnails and a few practice pieces that I can manipulate and use color in to see what will work better. I repeat the same picture 3 times and then use ink and a little bit of water with a paintbrush to blend them out to see how I can manipulate the shadows and the color placements to draw focus into one of the focal areas and therefore making it easier to decide how I want to emphasize a certain object and also how the picture may look in the long run. What will enhance it, what will make it look better, what will work better, and what I need to adjust in the process. I want to take you on a little journey of how I discover and find ways for things to work. It all depends on where your color goes and what you want to use as an accent. Alright, we're just going to go over a few steps and make a decision. It's quite easy. Come along and I'll show you.
First off, you'll be drawing 3 of the same images. In this case, I am using our sunflower theme. They can be small, as they will be acting like sunflower thumbnails. Now, thumbnails are just small suggestions of your image, and I often use thumbnails to get my mind working in the direction of the project to see if I can fit what is required. Every project and every client will have different requirements, and let's say, for instance, this project was a requirement for a birthday card. I'd obviously need to leave some room for the typography where the happy birthday part will be. It's important to have equal amount of details on all 3 your images. For today's project, I'll be using my ink pot like before. It is an intense black ink and it dissolves in water. I'll also need my dip pen with a nib, and later on some water and a watercolor brush or an acrylic brush. Doesn't matter as long as you can spread the ink. Make sure you keep your ink at a safe distance and not spill it on your project, otherwise you'll have to start again. Now you can absolutely watch me outline this, or you can forward to the part where I explain how I use the different variations, but just a little warning, deep ASMR coming right up. The next step may surprise you, as not all inks are water soluble, but this one definitely is, and that is why I like to use it, so that I can manipulate those outlines and move the ink and water into places where I can discover what effects are the best ones for my project. To follow along, you'll need your water and a small paintbrush. We are going to section out areas 3 different ways to help us decide which one will be the better option. In the first block, I'm painting the leaf, the base of the flower, as I called it last week, the cup of the sunflower, and the petals on this one. Remember, we are not soaking these pieces, we are just adding a little bit of water so that that ink can start dissolving. The dissolved ink will give us a good idea of the type of contrast we are looking at between the different designs. Remember to move the water and the ink and not add more ink. For the third project, I'm taking on more or less the same approach, except this time I'm only using the ink dissolve method on the second flower petals and not in that center. I think that might have been my first mistake on that first little thumbnail. But that's what we're here for, to make those mistakes in our sketchbooks and find the right one to use for the project. Our focus here are the sunflowers. Before I do anything else, I like to step back a little bit and see what I've created. Look at it and try and decipher if I'm going to add more or less detail and how I'm going to elaborate on the project. What areas need my attention after I've made several choices. We are now nearing the end and we are closer to our final project. Once you've decided which one you like, you can trace and repeat it onto paper and finish it up, or you can redraw it on your watercolor paper. Depends on what medium you're going to use. If you need to, you can put it on a canvas, or you can just simply scan it in, take a photo and use it in a digital version. Another thing I was really glad I did today was stay in the studio, because not long after I started recording, it started to rain, and I would have been sopping wet if I stayed outside to weed the garden. I'll leave the weeding to another day, and I'll keep you updated. In the meantime, the cat and I have other plans.
Well, it's been fun. And thank you for sharing my studio space with me. I think I got a little bit carried away because I filled in 2 more pages. And that was after I filled in this page. And this side is last week's video. If you missed it, just pop on back over and find your way there to see what I got up to when I used watercolor and ink together. Alright, I'll see you next time. Until then, bye friends.